6.5 notes. Okay, so this chapter, this lesson, not chapter, is going to allow us to take percents to fractions, fractions to decimals, all that fun stuff. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go through them, and you're always going to do this second column on your own. So this column right here, and where it says check with shaver when done, that was when we were doing it in class. So, but if you want to and you are in class, feel free. All right, so percents to fractions. One thing you need to know is all percents are out of 100. That's why a lot of times we use percents to compare things. So if you get a 98% on a test, you got 98 out of the 100% that's offered. Another way to remember that it's 100%, if you notice, a percent makes 100. Here's the 1. Here's the 0, 0. So percent is always out of 100. So write 5% as a fraction and simplify. So we know it's 5 out of 100. So 5 hundredths. There you go. Percent to fraction. Always, always, always your denominator is going to be 100. Now, that's not in simplest form, obviously. So you could divide by 5, and you would get 1/20. So 5% is the same as 1/20. All right, you all try that next one. You might want to pause the video because I'm going to move on. All right, percent to decimal. So when you're moving the percentage, you want to move it to the hundredth spot. Because right now, because percents are out of 100. So same concept. You just want to make sure that you move it to the hundredth spot. So right now, and if you notice, it says move the decimal 2 spaces to the left. That's a little trick. So if you're like, ugh, I can't remember, just remember 2 spaces to the left. So we have 9.7. To make that a decimal, you're just going to go 1, 2. And in this little hole, you're going to put a 0. So it's 0.097. And if you notice, it's a 9 in the hundredth spot. So 9.7 hundredths, which is the same as the percentage. You just move the decimal 2 to the left to change a percentage to a decimal. Now, if there's not a decimal, like on the one you have to do, the decimal is always at the end of the number. Always going to be at the very, very end. So it's going to be after the 0 in this one. I can't make the dot small enough, but if I could, you'd see it. All right, try to make that one into a decimal. All right, next one, decimal to percent. So to move it to a percent, you just have to move it to the behind the hundred. So instead of moving it to the left, you're going to move it to the right, or get the denominator to 100. So on this one, yellow, not good, 0.333, you're just going to move it twice. So 1, 2. So 33.3%. Pretty simple stuff. This next one, you're just going to move it 2 to the right again. So 1.7, move it 2 to the right and get yourself an answer there. And I'm going to add a fraction element to this one. Let's say that you have 18/50ths. If you want to get that to a percentage, all you need to do is change that denominator to 100. And hopefully in your head you're saying, oh yeah, 50 times 2. So 50 times 2, 18 times 2, and hopefully you get 36, which is the same as 36%. So that may happen sometimes too, where you're asked to change a fraction. You want to get it to 100 and then move from there. All right, last little part. Divide, to get a fraction to a decimal and percent, you're going to divide the numerator by the denominator and then write as a percent. And thankfully in this chapter we have calculators. So in your calculator you would want to type 3 divided by 8 because we're writing 3/8 as a decimal or a percent. So 3 divided by 8 and you get 0.375. So you have it as a decimal. That's a check. Now you got to write it as a percent. Just move that decimal twice, so 37.5%. And there's your 2 answers. You guys try these ones, and we'll check those 4 tomorrow. You can rewatch this as much as you want. All right.